What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So I dropped the Chargers Alohi Gilman video. I've seen a lot of you guys commenting about Kamren Curl, so I went ahead, took a look, and let's chat about it, right? There's a lot to love. There's a couple things of note to point out that I don't currently like, and it's more situational than anything to do with the player. But let's go ahead and dive into some things, right? I'll preface this by saying hopefully this is a shorter video. Some of you guys commented not wanting a full career, scouting breakdown of kind of what's been going on. So I'm going to give you guys the meat and potatoes here. And then outside of that, Kamren Curl here, he's generally regarded as the third best safety in this free agent class. I'm forgetting who's at the top, but Kyle Duggar is right ahead of him as well generally. And I say that to say, when you take a look at his projected contract value, it's supposed to be, or it's projected to be, a 4-year deal for $12.5 million, basically a $57 million total contract. So you're not talking about the Alohi Gilman type contract that I reference, where we might have about $12 million in total for the contract. If they achieved incentives and everything here, you are actually talking about going out and getting yourself a significant signing. One of the things, and again, from what I don't like about this entire pairing here between Kamren Curl and the New York Jets, it's not from a fit perspective or anything. It's just realistically the way that we need to build the team, right? Robert Saleh and company have proven so far that they can operate a not just functional but an above average safety unit. We've seen it with the Whitehead Joyner combination, although obviously some things were pretty bad there. But obviously the cornerback play helps. But then you've seen it with Tony Adams, you've seen it with Jordan Whitehead, you've seen Ashton Davis step up, right? So we don't need top tier playmaking ability and elite safety play here. But it could move the needle in a positive direction. The only question would be, what does that look like if you go out and find a way to sign a Kamren Curl and then you lose out on a Mike Evans or something? And it's not because the player just doesn't want to come to us or a fit issue or anything like that. We just really didn't quite have the couple extra $1 million in order to sign them. You're putting Kamren Curl in a bad situation. He's still going to go out there and perform, of course, but I do think we need to make sure we can invest the top free agent dollars into the offensive line and or wide receiver unit as a priority first. If that looks like it's not happening or not ideal, then of course Kamren Curl would be a great option. Now, with that said, those were the two. These are essentially the two schools of thought that I'm thinking about with Kamren Curl, right? Obviously, as mentioned, we've already proven that this defense can look basically elite with, a slightly above average to average safety play as a overall unit. But the half glass full approach would be a top safety like Kamren Curl, a young guy. Keep in mind, he's only 24. That could change the complexity of this entire defense, right? We didn't quite necessarily have a ball hawk. I think we had 13 interceptions as a defense off the top of my head. I think 6 or 7 of those. I think it's 7, 4 by Whitehead. Actually, I want to say the number's higher. I think Davis had 2, Whitehead had 4, and Adams had 2 or 3. So either way, a pretty significant amount of our overall interceptions came from the safety unit. Adding a guy like Kamren Curl, he's not necessarily a ball hawk, right? I think he's only had 3 interceptions in his career. All of those came in 2020 with him being a rookie. But overall, just the defined instinctual play by Kamren Curl should help out quite a bit, right? We don't ask our safeties to do a bunch of crazy stuff. It really is, as Robert Saleh preached, a simplistic defense as much as possible at every level. We just want to let the athleticism and the instinct shine, and this should fit Kamren Curl to a T. You take a look at the safety room. Jordan Whitehead, contract voided. Chuck Clark, he had the expired contract, right? He was on the final year. We were getting him on the cheap. And so you really only have Tony Adams and you have Jarek Bernard-Converse, who we haven't really seen at all. So you definitely need a starter. You at least need the depth piece here. Kamren Curl is going to be looked at as an immediate starter. You take a look at a lot of the highlights when it comes to him. Again, he was marked as a best fit by Matt Bowen, I believe initially. But over the course of his Commanders career, about 50% of his snaps has come as a box safety. He's had elite play in 2022. Things slipped in 2023, but when you take a look at that Commanders defense, things were trash all across the board. That's why they had a little bit of a fire sale there when they were letting guys like Chase Young go before the trade deadline this year. They obviously knew they were going to be walking into a rebuild. More tackles than any other Washington player since his rookie year in 2020, which is pretty outstanding for a safety. The franchise has kind of praised his versatility, his knowledge, his leadership, especially at such a young age, just going into his first extension. That's exactly the caliber and type of player you would look for. So I think even from a character standpoint, this is a guy that looks like he's going to be a great fit if he does come to the Jets, right? 5th highest defensive grade for the Commanders in 2023. We already talked about the contract value, so $13 million isn't crazy when you consider just 2 years ago, 2022, we were looking to sign Marcus Williams, the Saints' former safety, and he was somewhere in the range of like $16 to $18 million as a projection, right? So getting a guy that's a little bit cheaper here, it's not like he's the undisputed number one safety like Marcus Williams was at the time, but this is a guy that has a high floor, and you're still buying high on him, a guy you could easily see outperforming his contract. Basically, you take a look at him, and he's a good to great safety in 2023 that was just surrounded by a bad supporting cast, right? Teammates out of position, guys that just couldn't perform, and then, of course, you're shipping some of your best players out at the trade deadline. You can't encapsulate it any better than with statistics usually, right? Over 30 points, which was the most in the NFL for that Commanders defense, and 262.2 passing yards per game, which was also the most in the NFL. And yet, we still seen Kamren Curl find a way to stick out in 2023. 16 starts, 115 tackles, 5 pass breakups, a fumble recovery, and a sack. So you can, see him producing at every level or every position that you kind of want to put him in to find a way to succeed here. So overall, if it happens, I'm not going to be upset. I think it would definitely be a great move, and again, something that long-term wise, I kind of have this thought, much like with Garrett Wilson, you want to pair him with a guy that he can end his rookie contract up to at least, so you're not continually rotating pieces. Kind of would be the same idea with Tony Adams. Get him a running mate that he'll be there with for at least the next 2 to 3 years, and secure that back end, right? So ultimately, let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you again. Peace.